Great,
I mean,
Andy. You look great.
it's all my fault.
You look
Seriously,
great.
You
You look
said no
fine.
video.
I
Okay,
didn't.
fine.
I
I know.
just. I'm tired. I just didn't even know what I was saying as usual.
This is not only video, it's
As
live,
usual.
so we gotta,
Oh
my
shit.
hair is a fucking disaster tonight. Oh my God.
I
Same.
did. I
Okay.
did.
You guys look fine. Oh my God.
Ugh.
Everyone looks great. Don't worry. Nah,
Yeah,
man.
stop.
I look like Quasimodo's toenail, man.
What time is it
Ross.
there, man? What time is it?
It is
Middle of the
20
night.
to 20 to 3 in the morning.
Oh
Oh
God.
God.
But
That's nuts.
I didn't go to sleep the night before either.
Oh,
Oh God, Ross.
It,
Ew.
Ross.
I don't,
Ross is a trooper, man.
Oh
yeah,
God.
I can
Seriously,
survive on
Ross.
about, I can survive about 3 hours sleep, but
Awesome.
I haven't had that yet. So,
Well,
had a bit,
let's get rolling. Let's get you
Let's
to
do it.
bed. Let's get Jamie to bed. Let's do this. Ready?
All
yep.
right.
yeah.
Jamie, are we live?
We are live.
Oh, we're live. Oh, hi everybody.
Hey, everybody.
Hi.
Hey.
I didn't know.
All right. Welcome to Perfect Organism, the Alien Saga podcast. I'm your host, Jamie Prater, and I'm joined by my co-hosts.
Patrick Green.
Perry Chicos.
Andy Heat Girl.
Adam Ezekiel.
Holden Woolwhite. Christian Motska.
Dead dog.
And we have Xander, who is in our chat room. Welcome to the show, everyone.
Hey.
That was
Hey,
the
hey.
most fluid 9-person introduction
That
I
was
think
awesome.
anybody has ever done.
We didn't even
Right?
practice.
And that
Wow.
was live. Hey, huge day today. We of course went live this morning, Jamie and I, at the crack of dawn, West Coast time, because this trailer dropped. We have all been just blowing up about this all day today. Our phones have been ringing off the hook. There's so much to talk about. We want to get right to it because this is live, and we want to also get it out, to everybody who's listening tonight. But before we do a couple quick little housekeeping things, we have some new patrons who deserve shout outs. Going back to May, we have Joshua Robinson, Matt Benware, Wayland Yutani, Distinguished Engineer, AJ Barub, and just as of a couple hours ago, Mr. Planet Ekaz, which is a little bit of a Dune reference. And I've been talking to Mr. Planet himself in our email quite a bit. He's a very cool dude. And an extra special birthday shout out to my very good friend Kyle Nelson, who turns 35 today. I hope it's okay I said that. And a quick plug. He has two concerts in New York this weekend, one on June 6th at the Stone Circle Theater in Brooklyn at 7. And then the next night at, let's see, where is this? And it's another project in Brooklyn on the 7th. And anyway, there's a lot of cool stuff going on. If you want more details, hit me up or hit Kyle up and we'll get you there. And we have a review to read as well. Mr. Perry Chicos, you want to take it away?
Yes, we sure do. Yes. This comes from Lieutenant P. Rip, review from April 28th this year. It says, I've been listening to the awesome folks at Perfect Organism podcast since 2017. Thank you. This is something that every Alien fan from casuals to diehards will enjoy. Deep dives on director's cuts, interviews with cast and crew members from the films, behind the scenes facts you've never heard before. This podcast has it all. Stay frosty. This is Rip signing off.
Awesome. Thank you, Rip.
Thanks.
Hell yeah,
Yeah.
Rip.
Brilliant.
So tonight we are here to discuss the full trailer for Alien Earth, which releases on August 12th of this year. So I guess we can go around and start with initial reactions as we dive into this.
Yeah, I really loved it. I thought it was. I know we had all and have all been like fiending for this, exactly this. And I think a lot of things that if you've listened to our episodes, things that we've talked about, things that we sort of we're looking for, we're wishing for, we're wanting to see, I think came to fruition and just sort of, fell into those buckets. Personally for me, I like really loved the just the insights into the corporations, right? Like you really get like this really cool sense of corporate like need and want and things that are happening trying to get whatever's on the ship to that regard. And then I very very much love uh the hybrid idea and just the idea of putting someone else's um brain and consciousness into sort of like a synthetic, right? That's just
We need to go back. We're not recording this. Sorry, we're gonna stop here and just do that one more time. That's a live television, people. We Jamie and I were so swept up with trying to get the YouTube live to work that we forgot to press record. So now
I
we are
thought I
pressing
heard it
record.
for whatever reason. But
Yeah, sorry
So
about that. It's
we
been a long
started-
day.
sorry about that.
We starting
Yeah,
again.
we're gonna go back
Yeah.
to the beginning. All right. And
Oh, but I was going to say before we
There you
do,
go.
I'm recording.
don't matter.
Are we ready? Sorry about that, everybody.
We're gonna be so good this time.
We're so bad. All right. Welcome to Perfect Organism, the Alien Saga podcast. I am your host, Jamie Prater, and I'm joined by my co-hosts.
Patrick Green.
Harry Chicos.
Andy Geek Girl.
Adam Ezekiel.
Holden Wilhoit. Christian Matska.
Dead dog.
And we have Xander in our chat room. Uh-oh, something just fell. Hey, hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. And I'm going to hand it off to Patrick.
Yeah, we got some housekeeping. It's been a huge day today. Many of you joined us live this morning for Jamie and my first reaction when this trailer dropped early today. The whole fandom's been buzzing about it. We have been texting like crazy all day. We have so much to talk about and we can't wait. But before we do, a couple quick shout outs. We have some new patrons who very much deserve it. Going back to the beginning of May, we got Joshua Robinson, Matt Benware, Wayland Utani, Distinguished Engineer, AJ Baroob, and Planet Ekaz, who just joined. And I've been talking with Planet himself quite a bit in our email. Sounds like a really cool dude, and looking forward to more conversations with him. And an extra special birthday shout out to my very good friend, Kyle Nelson, who is celebrating a birthday today and has 2 concerts this weekend in New York City if you are in town. One of them is going to be on June 6th at the Stone Circle Theater in Brooklyn. And that's at 7 o'clock. And then he has another project the next night at Fringe Records, which is also in Brooklyn. And that is around the same time, I think 6:10 p.m. And if you want more details, hit me up or hit him up, and hope to see you there. And it's going to be awesome. And without further ado, we got a review to read, so I'm going to hand it over to Perry Chicos.
Yes, thank you, Patrick. Yes, this review comes in from Lieutenant P. Rip, the end of April after Alien Day. This one got posted. Uh, but Rip says, I've been listening to the awesome folks at Perfect Organism podcast since 2017. This is something that every Alien fan from casuals to diehards will enjoy. Deep dives on director's cuts, interviews with the cast and crew members from the films, behind the scenes facts you've never heard before. This podcast has it all. Stay frosty. This is Rip signing off. So thank you, Rip.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
very cool.
Rip.
Thank you,
Nice.
Rip.
Really appreciate
Nice.
Thank you,
that.
Rip.
Thank you.
That's awesome. So tonight we are here to discuss the full-length trailer released for Alien Earth, and it's something we've all been waiting for, something that we've been waiting for probably a good 6 months, thinking we're going to get it earlier in the year. It's finally here. There's a lot to discuss. So I think we should just open it up to first impressions and then dive into it.
Yeah, I can start it off. I think we were all overjoyed. I know we've been waiting for this thing for a really long time, and a lot of things that you probably have heard us speak on in a lot of our other episodes. A lot of those things came to fruition, and as far as story arcs, things that we were looking at as far as like insight into the company, right? Like these corporations that are all sort of um, actively fighting in with some competition and wanting to get things off the ship, and just seeing some really cool insights into some new ideas that I think we were really that it's just really bringing like a lot of fresh air to the story, to the franchise, and specifically something I'm really loving and seeing, and I just wasn't. We really didn't have an idea of how they were planning to do this or tell this part of the story, but just the idea of sharing someone's consciousness with a hybrid, a form of like a synthetic like that. I'm really intrigued as to how they will play that out and what ramifications that has in the story and sort of like collecting these species, right? Like that was really cool, and I'm like super excited to see more of that part of it.
I was just really excited for all the possibilities in terms of the creatures and biology and new forms that we saw. I kept pausing every 2 seconds trying to get a glimpse of all the different species. Um, I think it just opened the world up in terms of what is possible here. And I love that it's a series and we only saw 2 minutes. So without really revealing too much, I think we got a lot that without spoilers, which I love. I thought it was a great trailer in that regard.
Yeah, I think I also, I mean, if I'm focusing just on this trailer, with all the previous material that we got that that short down the corridor video, and I remember thinking that I was concerned that it looked a little bit unfinished. Sets didn't look that great. The costumes were, I was kind of iffy, but this trailer, like the visuals here, are absolutely fantastic. I really hope this carries through the whole series. So if I have to just sum it up in short, I'm much more reassured after seeing this trailer. Uh, Even like costume wise, I saw we had a few glimpses of the costumes before, but in the trailer we've seen, well, look, many costumes we haven't seen before, and everything looks fantastic. It really looks really, really good, really promising.
Yeah. I'd be very surprised if anybody is going to be disappointed with this trailer. This for me is really close to what I've been waiting for. In terms of opening up the universe, and we're finally getting like an exploration as to what else is out there that's not just a xenomorph. There's other things, and it's not even like they're similar to the xenomorph. They're very, very different. Like this ocular thing, and in the trailer, and it's like it's sitting in his eye. Um, and obviously, I've been pausing it and seeing him try and read bits and look into it. And the one thing I noticed as well, I mean, I don't know if anybody else saw it as well. There's like very, very, very subtle references to previous films. I don't know whether it was done on purpose, but it just made me think of it. I think you guys mentioned it earlier on, like there was a subtle reference to Alien 3 in terms of the color palette, the blood on the walls, and all that sort of stuff. And then obviously another one where you've got like a top view and he's lying down on the floor. And I think he's got his arm missing, but I might have skipped past that. I'm not sure. So it's just the right amount of tiny bit of nostalgia with everything looking so new and fresh and crisp. And it's really, really intriguing. Like I want to know more. Um, I literally can't wait for this. I'm counting down the days for this. It's absolutely phenomenal. And my nephews are really excited about it. My daughter's interested in it as well. Um, and my mum, who she had to sneak into the cinema to go and watch it when she was like 16, she's just like, now we're talking. This is what I want to see. And she's mega excited. Um, yeah, it's blown me away. And what you're saying earlier, Adam, about it didn't look quite right. I remember some people saying it looked like a computer game. And obviously we all know it's not quite finished and polished, but now it's just perfect. It looks amazing. Um, yeah, fantastic. The best trailer I've seen in for Alien in a long, long, long time.
So I could be completely alone in this, but I found that the like clip teasers that we've seen so far leading up to this were actually pretty effective in making this trailer more effective for me. Like I felt like a kid in a candy store. It felt like getting an episode to me, honestly, a little bit. Like being able to like see some dialogue and see actual things that we know for sure are footage from the show was just amazing. And like everybody else mentioned, the creatures and everything are so cool. Yeah, I found that the way that they're rolling this out is really nice, and I'm glad it's paying off, at least for me.
This is an unbelievably confident trailer. And, you know, this show has needed it because we've known about the show for so long. To have it finally coming together
and have this be presented to us as this is, this is what we've worked so hard for so long. And at the same time, to not give hardly anything away. Like we know the setup now, but we've actually known that for a while. This is just giving us that little taste. And then all of these shots that are so evocative. And I mean, like Andy was saying, this is a series, so they can pick and choose little bits from all over the place and putting it together like that. We never get the Navarro moment from the Romulus trailer that I honestly still can't quite forgive. I can't believe that, we spoiled one of the few characters' deaths. So that's all wonderful. I think there's some very subtle homages paid to other films in the series. A rather significant one to Aliens in the weaponry that's shown. That I, as a diehard Colonial Marine fan, I never thought I would see this extrapolated upon, especially as nicely as this. So that's really nice. And then there's some more overt ones that still work fine, like seeing a recreation of a Weyland-Yutani dining room table, in a ship with the drinky bird and all that kind of thing. Maybe we didn't need it, but it's not in your face blatant. It's just sort of tucked away in the background, and the overall look is just so beautiful. So while I still have my reservations, this has gone a huge way towards making me feel more excited for this show.
I just love watching it so much. I mean, I've been I had an exam today, so it's been kind of an intense day for me. Every time I get a bathroom break, I just watch the trailer again. I showed it to the kids when I got home and they wanted to see it a second time too. It just feels so good to watch because it feels so interesting and it's so confidence inspiring. Like this is to points that everybody's been making. I mean, it's been literally like 5 years since we first knew this was going to happen. It's been such a long time. And for so many of those years, there was this real sense of like, maybe it's not, like there was the whole, there's all the background business stuff going on with Disney, with who's going to own the rights to it, like how's it going to work out. And then Noah Hawley kind of went quiet, and then there was the writer's strike, and for a long time I felt kind of like this thing might be sort of a pipe dream. And what's been so beautiful is to see like it is a dream, but it's a fully realized dream. It's not this fantasy thing. It's really truly an amazing achievement already. And I have to say it's at 4 million views, the trailer right now, which is way more than I expected, honestly. It's incredible. And those little shorts that they've been showing, which felt like I mean, to Holden's point, like they were nice and they were evocative, but I always felt like they were a little bit like we were so desperate for the actual trailer. I was like, what kind of traction are these things actually going to get? Like the one that is right before the trailer is almost at 1 million views right now, which is really substantial for like a tiny little teaser clip. So this thing, their marketing really is working for this. I think they are getting traction. They're getting the right outlets in the conversation. Uh, you know, and I think it's really boding well. And just back to, and not to, I don't want to rehash things that we talked about this morning too much, but that T. ocellus creature, the exam I had today was on like microbiology, and there's like a whole parasitology thing that I had to do, and I was like thinking, oh, this is so freaking cool because like it really the mechanism that thing uses to attach itself to the brain stems of its host, like that is so scary and so gross and so perfect. And I've had this like image in my head, like what if that happens to like the Xeno on the ship? Like what if it goes through the dome and it goes into the eye socket and like it's trying to control this fucking alien, and then we have an alien with one eye, you know what I mean? And then like the alien hopefully wins that battle and kills it. But it's taking me to all these interesting places because it's giving us these new images to like to think about, And I think that there's so many really, really interesting things. I gotta say, like seeing Sydney Chandler in action like that for more than just like a couple frames at a time, I like can't wait to see more of this character. I feel like Wendy feels just like Andy did in Romulus, just like a really, I mean, we haven't seen very much yet, but already I can tell there's going to be an interesting dynamic there because she feels like, you know, uh, she already feels like this beautifully kind of bifurcated character. Like we can even in that little bit we got today, still see kind of glimpses of the little girl from the beginning in her and the way that she talks and things. But then there's this like really capable body with a sword on her back who wants to go and investigate the Maginot. And I'm like, Christian is like the sword, but I'm like, sign me up. Like seriously, like take those chances. And the last thing I'll say is I feel like it is really dawning on me how cool it is that Noah Hawley is the one doing this because we're all big fans of his. He's incredible, and he's so intelligent as a maker of television specifically in terms of like he makes very like well thought out, well reasoned choices that are often unexpected and frequently surprising, and almost, in my experience, almost unanimously really, really good uh, choices. So I think I personally like, just can't wait to see where this goes. Super quick pause. Christian, can you turn your mic gain down a little bit? It's in the audio settings. It's just the mic's a little bit hot.
I have
But yeah,
no idea how to do that. Let's see.
I'll read Xander's uh quick first impression.
hit it.
Uh yeah, Xander, thank you. Xander threw in the chat. It looks absolutely great. It completely completely sold me on the synthetic hybrids. Originally, I was super hesitant towards the concept, but seeing it in the trailer, I'm happy with it. The pulse rifle variants look amazing. The cinematography looks impressive too. A lot of color theory going on, which I think just ties into a lot of what Ross, Mr. Dead Dark, was talking to, and things of that nature, and just complimenting a lot of the original trilogy and things in that way. And just wanted to add too, Patrick, I think it's awesome, right, that you're studying this and having to work so hard and take a test in this, especially with like the biology piece of it. Uh, I'm I It brings me back to when you guys interviewed the biologist. I can't remember her name. This would have
with
been
Alex
last
White.
2 summers ago, I think. But anyway, just talking about like I just remember talking about like the amount of heat the xenomorph would have been putting off an alien when it's morphing into its final form, and how that maybe was creating all the heat when Brett's in the room with Jonesy and all the water's coming down. We're like, oh, maybe it's like sweating all that water off or something. But to talk through those things right in a realistic, like biological way, is really fascinating. And so to get to see more of that, like the life cycle things, especially with these different organisms, is just really intriguing, and I'm excited to see like what they do to build off of that and what we kind of see from a science aspect in that way. I think it'll just be really cool, and there's obviously so much there that can progress the storyline along.
For sure. And I think what excites me about this is, as a huge fan of sci-fi, this is elevated sci-fi. It's not just a story about people encountering a xenomorph. This is about hybrids and cyborgs and androids. And it's an element of the alien experience that we've not had before. And that really excites me. And we've talked about this quite a few times on the show, but science fiction is really hard to get right. It's really, really difficult to get right. It's difficult to get right on a story level. It's difficult to get right on a tech level, aesthetics, all of that. So everything kind of combines into one to really create something that's really great, or really mediocre, or really bad. And oftentimes with sci-fi, certainly sci-fi TV shows, it's bad or it just doesn't work, or there's a couple things that work, but mostly it's thrown off by the aesthetics. So I'm really loving what I'm seeing here in the show. I also love the color in the visuals. It looks like film. I don't know what they used to film this on, but it doesn't have that like crispy video quality that you see a lot of shows have. Like certainly, and I discussed this with Patrick earlier today, like a lot of sci-fi shows can be on TV. They can like look like sci-fi, but they're like overly stylized, and it just looks like high quality video that has a filmic look. This really looks like film. It's really, really beautiful. And the costumes don't look brand new. Everything looks right. Everything is lived in. Yeah, I'm just really excited as to what they're going to do. We don't know where we're going with this show. Um, but yeah, I have nothing but praise so far. I don't think we probably fully realize what's in store. I do love those small visual callbacks to Alien 3, to Resurrection, to Ross's point, that shot from above totally evoked Ripley from when she's right out of like her cocoon in Resurrection. And I think that's how you do callbacks. You do them subtly. Yeah, I'm it's It's all firing well for me at this point.
Can I just jump in with a super quick thing off that point? And speaking of really cool ways to do callbacks, right? I love the inclusion of the siren that, everybody knows is coming anytime there's a
Yes.
trailer, right? Like that's got to happen. But this time we get it, and it's very much a scene on Earth, right? It's on Neverland Research Facility. And in the background, in slow motion, is some kind of horrendous like slaughter happening. It's kind of hard to make out, but it's like the commandos are like chopping something up and it's like flailing and there's blood flying everywhere. And it's such a terrestrial image, like it's so clearly on Earth and yet so clearly frightening. And that I'm like, that's the tone. That's the tone, right? It's giving us something that we're so used to seeing in the context of Alien, but putting it here on Earth and then making Earth scary. Very hard to pull off.
Can I just say as well, what I noticed in the trailer as well, that obviously when we're looking at Prodigy City, your initial reaction is this looks it reminded me of like a modernized sort of like Eden. I think Assassin's Creed did something with it years ago in the games, if anybody actually played that. But then as you're panning into it, the people are obviously looking ahead, but their clothes seem really like sweaty and grimy and dirty. So it may be like, oh, it looks really nice, but the people are treated really, really badly. So maybe there's like some sort of like how Rain is on her on what's it called now?
Jackson Star.
Jackson Star, where they're all like just they have to work. So maybe it's kind of like that, but on the outside it appears like an amazing city. That's the impression that I got, and obviously with the color palettes that were put over it as well, it was like there was a lot of like subtle green with that as well. Um, and like for example, like when the alarms are going off and you've got reds and you've got yellows and stuff like that. I haven't dissected the colors yet, but that's initially what I first noticed. And I actually agree with Christian actually about the sword thing. I didn't like that either, but I ignored it because I was like 99% happy with the rest. But I wasn't too happy with the sword. But they might explain it. It might just be because she's got a young mind or something and she thinks it's a game or something. I don't know.
Okay, I have to get into this now. So, Battle Angel Alita, it's a young woman
Yes.
in a
Yes.
cyborg body. She has a sword. Blade Runner Black Lotus,
Yes.
it's a naive,
Right.
synthetic. She has a sword.
Yes.
River Tam from Firefly. It's the exact same thing again.
Right.
This is
Okay.
literally a Joss Whedon concept. Does not mean that that's where it's going to go. But right now, I'm rolling my eyes at the idea of taking a child, putting her in this body so that she can say things like, "What you're doing is wrong. You can't lie." That's what he said she's going to be doing. And meanwhile,
Right.
she
Okay.
has this sword and she can fight aliens with it. And plus, okay, Electric State literally just did this exact scene of you're a special child. We're going to take your brain and put it in this thing, and then you can have a robot body. We've just seen this play out. Now I know that Holly's had this for a long time, and Stella Stahlhog, whatever his name is, wrote the book a while ago too. I don't know, but that is not a good concept to me. That is a boring and very stale sci-fi concept that maybe will be given new life. Maybe this will be the iteration that actually works. The other one is what is his name? Like Boy Cavalier, the leader of the Prodigy Corporation. The idea of an eccentric young man who gets whatever he wants has been done so many times in sci-fi, including in Prometheus. I want to open my presents, said whatever the guy's name is that Shaw is married to.
Hollow
We've
character.
seen, what is his name?
Holloway.
Holloway. Yeah.
Is it really Hollow? Holloway?
Holloway.
My God. So again, Holly can work wonders with very stereotypical characters. We've seen this throughout all of the series of Fargo that he's done. But right now, that is my biggest holdup. And I'm gonna flip it and say the positive of this. Wendy is probably the most explained or motivated female lead that we've had since Ripley. She is not a Ripley clone, regardless of the color of her hair. She has a very clear origin point. We know that there's some mystery there. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is not a Ripley clone. This is not what we saw in Covenant or honestly even in Romulus. So I don't think that she can be held to that unreasonable comparison. But I'm just not loving what I'm seeing from this trailer for that aspect of it. Backing up, the rest of it is looking great.
You know, it's interesting that one scene where you see the katana, but she says, I can't, I'm going to misquote her, but she's like, we can do this. We are strong. And it reminds me of Blade Runner when Pris says, we're stupid and we're going to be killed. It just had that same rhythm to it. And Pris is also this manufactured person. And I love that we're going into some Blade Runner territory here. Like it's just skimming the surface. We're talking about consciousness. What is human? What do we see as human? And what do we treat as human? And I think that this is going to really go into that. But to your point, Christian, I think, yeah, on its face, there are some stereotypical things that we've seen, but hopefully Holly can take what we know and push it further and make it into something believable as opposed to just a stereotype. I mean, even in Black Lotus, Neander Wallace was this spoiled brat who got everything from his daddy and then killed his father. I mean, we've seen this over and over and over. So hopefully they can rise above these tropes. But I'm really loving what I'm seeing, and I cannot wait to dive into again the droids, the hybrids, the people with the hybrids with human consciousness, the cyborgs. Like, what is this, and who are they? And that we're going to attach ourselves to them as characters. And we've been talking about for years now, certainly Patrick and I, like, what if there was an alien film where a hybrid or an android was the lead? And I think this is an opportunity for that to happen.
In
Yeah,
addition to, sorry, go ahead.
what I was thinking about when they mentioned the invasive species aspect, my not so much concern, I'm just wondering where they're going to go with this, is the fact that you're introducing invasive species to Earth. Like, how is it going to be contained? Like, I'm wondering, because all in the future movies, we get the sense that Earth has not been affected or we don't know about these things. So, to me, it's opened up the world, but it's also, I guess, has to be really contained to this research facility to to make that believable for me in terms of, you know, not having it just wreak havoc on the entire planet, really. Invasive species can flip like that. So I don't know. I'm wondering how that's going to play out in terms of not just affecting the humans, but Earth.
So the way I was looking at that, because like with every alien film, like the creature, we've seen it so many times, we know what to expect. I'm hoping that he actually takes us in the direction of introducing a new monster, not just like, I hope this goes in the direction where one of these creatures is able to take over as the new primary fear, I guess. That would be an interesting for me, because we've seen the alien itself so many times. It's so expected. This is a way to introduce a new, completely alien fear once again.
And the other 4 species could get loose, and the colonial marines or whoever could be involved and have that knowledge down the line. We endanger species, we're bug hunters, bug stompers, whatever. They just can't run into the XX121. That's the little continuity hiccup. But at the same time, you don't want to take the classic alien and downgrade it. So it has to remain a very serious threat, but it can't be a worldwide threat. So in Holly, we trust.
But I have to say, it's really easy. Don't forget, Prodigy City is owned by the Prodigy Corporation, right? It's Prodigy Corporation property, and companies have been known to raise things to the ground, many times. So who's to say Prodigy City survives this, right? Like, if this does become some kind of like a horrible, outbreak and these invasive species get out of control, I could see Prodigy nuking it, and sending it back down to the ocean, Earth.
I was a little confused because at the beginning I thought it was a ship that crashes at an island. Now it's crashing in the city.
It
I don't think we
crashes
ever
into
saw it.
Prodigy City. Yeah. The
Which is
hybrids
an
are
island?
made. No, the hybrids are made on the island, which is called Neverland. And
Okay.
then they volunteer to go and investigate the ship. We're given 2 locations in rapid succession in the trailer, but they're
So
not.
there are 2 crashes?
No, There's just the one crash into the city by a Weyland-Yutani ship, but
Okay.
Prodigy owns two locations, the city as well as this island. That must not be too far away because they send them over.
Yeah,
And
but I think the
there are two
confusion
angles
is
on the crash too, which could be part of what's confusing because you see
yeah,
it
the
from
confusion is
coming at and then leaving.
yeah, the confusion is that it crashes into the city, but then when you see them go out, they're walking into the country, into greenery. So it's like, well, where is this shit specifically? But to your point, Adam, I think what you're responding to and what a lot of people are is fatigue, xenomorph fatigue. And part of that fatigue is because it's not been portrayed right. One thing I loved about this trailer is
Yep.
that you see this thing jumping around, menacing, scary. For all the good in Romulus, that creature is fairly static most of the time. I mean, almost all of the time it's static. And and this has nothing to do with like Trevor Newland, who is amazing. He did a great job, but the way that they shot it, it's not moving very much. I mean, the most I see it move is when it's kind of hunting K. But so seeing it this way in the Alien Earth trailer really excites me that they're going to put this creature back where it belongs. And I think part of it is it's been not been utilized well. It's not, I mean, again, we've had this discussion many times at this point, but why sharks are still scary, why we go into the water and we're still scared. We know what sharks look like, but when we see them, they're in the water, or someone's in a cage with them in the water. And so we put ourselves there with them, and it's terrifying. That's what needs to happen with the alien. People need to treat this thing like it's this menacing thing, not like, oh, we've seen it before, so we're sort of sidelining it, which is sort of what happened in Romulus to some degree, definitely what happened in Alien Covenant. So, and I'm just excited to see the rest of the story in terms of what they do with it, because I think Holly is on the right path.
Or that when you see it, it's already too late. That's
Yes.
also a terrifying, aspect just by itself. You see a shark in the water, it's probably already too late in the film.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Jamie, as well. I've got a real I obviously the xenomorph obviously is what we're all here for. We all love the xenomorph, but I've always felt that the portrayal of the xenomorph has always been done very, very, very incorrectly as well. For me, I think the only way it was ever portrayed correctly, other than the first Alien, is in Alien Isolation. That's the only other time I thought it was actually portrayed correctly because it was menacing, terrifying. You couldn't beat it on your own. It was just the perfect organism, the perfect hunting machine, and that is the way it should be portrayed. And I do agree, and that was one of my personal issues with Romulus. As much as I did like the film, I was you didn't see enough of it. You didn't see it do too much. And yeah, you're right. It was very, very static, and it like in the new trailer jumping around, and I was just like, yes, this is good. But I'm also worried about as well is that we're not going to see too much of it, and we're going to see a lot more of other stuff as well. And some people are going to, I think there's something in it for everybody, and some people are going to want to see more of the xenomorph. Some people are going to see less because they want to see more of what's out there. So hopefully it's a nice healthy balance of both. And that once all these creatures have like been revealed and we know a bit about them, and then obviously the xenomorph turns up and it just gets worse and worse and worse, and it's just like I want to be thinking, what the hell are they going to do now? That's what I want to see, and so far I'm getting that feeling. I'm very, very hopeful, and I'm very, very excited for it. I think it's going to work out well, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I can't wait.
Yeah, I want to add to that, Ross. You bring up a really great point. Like in Alien Isolation, especially the first time you ever play it, you never know where it is or where it's going to come from, what hole it's going to come out of in the ceiling or something like that. There's no really like environmental places that you're set where you feel safe, right? And that's just terrifying throughout the entire game, especially when you play it the first time, obviously. now you know, as many of us have played it so many times, when you're in like the area with the working Joes and things like that, they're more of the threat. And so what I would love to see here is something similar, right? Where it's not just contained, like when we're on the spaceship, like Romulus, just being the most recent, you were always informed by like the door shut, it's sitting outside the door, but they were like safe in the lab, sort of, until they went out into the other hallway area, sort of the hive area and things like that. And you're like, oh, now they're kind of like out in the open again. Like, okay, the alien's a threat now. It'd be great if there's this concept of they don't ever really truly know where it is, or it doesn't have to be the Xeno either. It could be maybe these other organisms, and that's just so scary because you never know there's no environmental thing that informs you that, oh, these characters are safe. There's always some danger, and so you're just like constantly on the edge of your seat because you're like, okay, you don't know like when it could turn bad really fast again, and I like really love that idea of it. And forgive me, I do have to go back. If you're interested, go back through our episodes and check out episode 222. It's Alex White's science advisor, Lolly de Rosière, who I was speaking on, who discussed the biology with Patrick and Jamie, I think,
And
in that
Andy,
episode.
and Andy.
Andy was there too. Yes, sorry,
Yes.
Andy. And just super informative. And I would highly, especially with Earth coming out, that episode would be a great re-listen just to better understand the biology of what we've seen before, especially in the original films, and how th they could potentially be building off on some of these real theories of science through these, five organisms.
I'm thinking about what happens if, because we see that they have eggs or ovomorphs, right? Sorry, Christian. Um, we see that they have those, so there's face huggers, right? What happens if there's some sort of hybrid made with one of these other creatures?
Well,
If that's even possible.
that's what we
Um,
see in that first teaser, where it's the creature bouncing down the hallway is some sort of a flying creature with a facehugger attached to it. So
okay.
they're already highly, broadcasting the possibility of that.
I
But
never
yeah,
picked up on that.
Really?
No,
Oh,
I
It
gotta watch
looked
that.
like wings or something. There was
yeah.
something there.
You can hear a fluttering sound, but it's a facehugger
Yeah,
grappling with it.
I thought it was a flying facehugger, but that makes more sense that it's like attached to something else.
I thought it was the although a smaller version. That in Prometheus where she pulls the thing out of her stomach. I thought it was something like that. That's what
the
I thought it was.
Trilobite.
trilobite.
Oh, like
That's
the
the
Yeah.
one. Yeah,
trilobite. Yeah.
yeah, that's what I thought it was. It seemed like a similar shape, but
And
yeah.
there's kind of a trilobite aspect to the morphology of a couple of the creatures that we saw glimpses of.
They're
So
very
I mean,
like deep
absolutely.
sea.
Yeah. You know what I hope in terms of like monsters for this? Monsters. The way the guy delivers that line is gives me chills. I love it.
Yeah.
Uh, what I love is I love the idea that we're getting these creatures that or flora and or fauna that we really have no idea other than this TSLS thing, like how they function, like why they were being sought out in the first place, like what the company wanted to do with them, Prodigy, wanted to do with them. Uh, and then oh what?
It was Whalen Yutani. This is all Whalen
Oh.
Yutani's
Oh,
work.
that's right. It's a Weyland Yutani ship. That's right. That
Yeah.
crashes into Prodigy City. Right. Yeah.
Yep.
So like we don't know why, Weyland Yutani necessarily was like looking for them. We don't know what was behind that. And what I hope happens is that I hope that Noah Hawley finds new ways to scare us through new mechanisms of fear with these creatures. I'm guessing that the transhumanist aspect is going to be a huge part of this because obviously that's, Wendy is an example of that. But also, like, we have that same guy who delivers the monsters line, like hooking up to a machine which appears to be doing something, traveling into his brain and out of his brain. We have this Acellus creature that we keep talking about, which interfaces directly with the brain of a host. I feel like that's going to be a big theme in this, is this idea of like stripping identity away, not being sure of who you are anymore, not being sure who you're looking at, kind of getting at the kind of, Carpenter's The Thing, right? Or the original The Thing for that matter. This idea of like what's safe and what's not. And I like love that. And what I hope happens, as an arc to this whole thing is we get so caught up in fear around that that when the xenomorph XX121 kind of comes to the fore again, we realize in an elemental way why that's ultimately more frightening. Like why there is something about staring oblivion in the face that is ultimately more terrifying than anything else. That like this idea that we don't fundamentally matter, you know? Like I feel like part of why great white sharks, to go back to Jamie's metaphor, are so frightening to us is the utter disregard that they have when they kill us, you know. And again, I don't want to demonize great white sharks. I'm a huge shark fan, but you know, they have killed people, and they don't feel bad about it because they don't even notice the fact that they're taking the life of another creature. They're just literally just eating us. That's all we are, you know. And in that moment, we realize like we just are chains of polypeptides and shit that, you know, feed other animals, and that we decompose into the soil and we feed the plants, and this realization of the utter mortality that's core to our existence as humans is something that we try to avoid thinking about too much. And when Alien works, it really pulls us into that sense of like we don't matter. We find meaning in our lives and we matter to other people, but in the span of the vast cold billions year old universe, we're fucking nothing, you know. And that is something that I think people forget about, and something that Alien reminds us of in its best moments. And Alien Isolation, to Ross's point, is a perfect example of that, because you're up against a creature that you can't kill. And how crazy of a game mechanic is that in the first place? You can't do shit, you know what I mean? Like you can scare it, not really scare it, you can just kind of like startle it away for a second, but like it's not going anywhere. That that is a brilliant idea. And what I hope happens is, you know, we get all these scary ideas and all these really fascinating transhumanist philosophical concepts, and then at the end we're reminded that oblivion is the thing we were actually afraid of the entire time, and the alien can really take its glory. And to that end, sorry to keep going with this point, but the creature as we see it feels different to me. It feels almost like juvenile. It feels like a lot smaller in terms of like the scale of its body than other ones that you know I've seen in the past. It doesn't look particularly tall, um, and it looks very smooth. It doesn't have that kind of like you know, the chitinous kind of glistening look to it, at least when it's moving around, that a lot of other aliens have had. It looks almost like satin. Like it's got this very kind of smooth texture, which I'm not saying is a bad thing at all. I think it's very beautiful, almost like obsidian. And I almost wonder if what we're seeing is some sort of like an evolutionary step in the alien, or it's like some kind of, you know, maybe it has, you know, been, you know, gene spliced with something else that was on the ship or something. There just feels like there's something different to it. As you know, people have been pointing out in our chat thread today, it has the digitigrade legs that we've seen in Isolation and Romulus, for that matter, and Covenant. But you know, I feel like there's more going on with it than just quote unquote the alien that we know so well, and that introduces its own things, because why is it different, and what maybe can this alien do that we haven't seen before, and maybe we won't be so confident.
And to your
Yeah.
point about fear, and you brought up, I've been thinking a lot about fear and how in Isolation, because I played it a little bit, and I remember playing it on my iPad when they had that mobile version of it. I remember it really freaked me out because I was in the vent with it and I had to get out of there. It really scared me. And fear is a really important part to me of these films. And I think when they haven't worked, when the alien isn't scary, it's not working because our fear needs to be present with them. And when in Isolation, it works so well because we are actually virtually there in these places with this thing. So we have a sense of fear. And I think about characters like Lambert, who's has some of the best fear I've ever seen in an alien film. And then, of course, Ripley, like Sigourney Weaver, hit it out of the park. She had even seen the creatures a few times, but then by Alien 3, and it walks up to her in that iconic shot, she's terrified. It's very rare that I see that kind of fear. And the only other time I've seen that fear again is with Ferris in Alien Covenant, where it's actual fear. Like, I don't know. I mean, I've never, you know, I haven't had any, maybe a spider has scared me, but that's it. I've not ever been in the woods with anything like a bear or anything to scare me. But I really want to see fear in this show. And that's going to be interesting because you have androids and hybrids, and do they get scared? How are we going to experience fear with things that shouldn't have any fear? Because, you know, they're not real for what or whatever that means. Maybe their consciousness is or parts of them are. But I've been pining for an alien film or whatever to scare me. And I have not. It's not happened. I mean, in Romulus, the offspring scared me for a minute, for sure. Like that thing fucking scared me to death, and I think that was great. And I think they were going in a really great direction. But I really want them to make Giger's beast scary again, and I feel like they might do it.
Speaking of fear, the in the trailer, the part that really struck me were two things I mentioned to you guys. One was the drawing, the children's drawing, because that spoke to our base fears as kids, the monster under the bed, right? The pulling up the covers as your safety. I think it speaks to all of us, all of those unknown fears. And then the sheep. See, when I see like, because when you see that look on that animal's face as it slowly just retreats, A, to me, seeing that and not the alien itself is frightening. What is he seeing? What is that animal seeing? That poor animal. And then it speaks to what Patrick was saying, which I just taught this today, by the way. I was teaching about the evidence of evolution. And one of the most visually profound pieces of evidence is just showing embryology and how a fish, a pig, a human, we all look exactly the same pretty much in the very beginning. So we're all related, and it speaks to the core of like we all innately are related. We're not any more special. We think we are. We are to ourselves and to each other. But it profoundly impacts that innate animalistic fear, literally with this animal, but also in us. My daughters, who I watched this with many times, at the end, they had a lot of comments I shared with you guys, but at the end, they both said, I think this is going to scare me. And my youngest daughter is not scared by much in terms of the alien. She loves the alien film, but she's rarely scared. And she said this one looks scary. So I was happy about that. In like a not in a I know that sounds really bad, but
And he's
in
like,
like
yes, be scared,
Oh, I'm right
child.
there with you. I'm waiting for
but
it.
they're older now. They're
Yeah.
not like, but yes, I'm excited to watch it with them too. I think I'm going to watch them first and then watch them with them,
Yeah.
but still, I think they were excited about it, so that made me even more excited.
It's funny, as a parent, I haven't shown my kids either Legion or Fargo. I just feel like the subject matter is beyond where I feel like they're comfortable. And so I'm hesitant. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to watch it with my wife, watch the series of Alien, and then decide after that, because I don't want to get them started on something and find that it goes to a
Exactly.
dark place. Right. And I have to say, the folks at Free League Publishing over in Sweden have got to be all high-fiving right now, because this is the most expansion of the lore of Alien that has ever been presented. Like, there are 4 more, and I'm going to say it, these are xenomorphs. Every alien life form is a xenomorph, because that's just a generic term that means strange shape. So, and I'm curious in this show what designation they're going to use to differentiate these 5 species. They don't have to say XX121. This is the Prodigy Corporation. They can have their own terminology. I hope it's not dumb. I don't want it to be Peter Pan references. I don't want there to be
I'm
any,
just thinking it's going to be the crocodile or something.
yeah, the TikTok crocodile.
Toodles.
But we could have a potential new lexicon here that could be believable and cool. I was talking actually just with my kids about this, how so often sci-fi writers will give, like, the creatures that are attacking us, we call them the Talons, something stupid like that. Whereas
Yeah.
in the book World War Z, the soldiers refer to zombies as Zach. It's just, Zach is over there. And it made so much sense, because that's the way, we belittle. We don't aggrandize. When you're talking about something that's attacking you, you don't give it, the slaughterer or something stupid like that. So I'm hoping that similarly, if these soldiers are referring to these creatures, that we're given believable terminology. And I do trust Holly for that. Last thing, just quick. As a Star Wars fan, I have to say how great it is to see Nemec from Andor and Cobb Vanth from The Mandalorian sharing screen time together. Those 2 actors are so great anyway. Timothy Olyphant, and I cannot think of the guy's name from Andor, but he was so wonderful. And sadly, his character here is named something like Snoodles or I don't know. It's one of the he has one of the Peter Pan names, but
Smee.
And
that's
he doesn't
that's
look like
from.
he doesn't look like he's gonna make it out.
I think that's sleight of hand. I think that's
Ah,
a
I don't know. You sound like Jamie with Navarro
I
up
know.
until like July of last year. Like she's the final girl. We're like, Jamie, there's just no
I
way
wish,
at this point.
I wish she should have been. But the big picture here with this show is, and something I've been thinking about every time I've watched this trailer, which has probably been about 7 or 8 times since it's dropped, is that it's different. It's very different. And I'm ready to, I think if something's going to grow and change, at least for us, we have to let it. We have to let it be something else. And I think it might, hopefully not, but it might be hard for some fans or some whoever to watch this and see this very different take on Alien. See Alien on Earth, number one, which I know has sort of ruffled a lot of people's feathers. Like, why is it on Earth? What are they doing? Things don't make sense. But I feel like if we can allow this thing to be what it is, and I'm not saying maybe it doesn't work. I don't know. We'll see. And it might not work for a bunch of people, and that's okay too. But I also feel like we at least need to, or I at least need to approach this, giving this thing like enough space to breathe, enough space to do something different. So we could, so that because if we don't, like, if it's not like, because we've been talking about this, and Holly brought this up, which I will always talk about. He said, with the series, we can't just have this, oh, there's people on a ship, there's people on a space station running from point A to point B. There has to be more story, and we're getting it. We're getting essentially 4 films, 8 episodes of a larger story that's not someone on LV-426 or someone in a space station or someone in a spaceship with an alien running after them. And I'm really hopeful that they really treat the tropes, which I even hate to use that term as it relates to Alien, because they've been turned into tropes, but these things are real scary things, like the ovomorph, the face hugger, the chest burster, all of those things. And I'm ready for them to be scary again. I'm ready for them to be utilized in a way where it's not like, okay, we've seen that next. Okay, we've seen that next. Let's give this chest burster 30 seconds to come out next. I really want them to take their time, and this is the space for them to take their time. So I hope everyone, not just me, not just us, but everyone watching, gives it the space it needs.
Yeah, I agree. I think in a lot of series that comes out, like after the first episode, people tend to jump on it, whether they love it or they hate it, or and they tend to just like, oh no, this isn't going to work. It's going to be this, it's going to be that, and it's like just let it do what it's got to do, and then make your judgments after, and then like you can give a proper critique after. But I think you're right. You do need to let it breathe.
People blow off things based off trailers these days. Like, oh no, no thanks.
Yeah, I saw it. I mean, I don't know why, but I just glancing through comments, and I just saw one person who was just like that, and it's like it's not even come out yet, bro. Come on, give it a chance. I honestly, I'm really, really excited for it. I'm very, very, very excited for it, and it's just it feels like a breath of fresh air for me. Um, I I I I wanted it to be like fear, like you said, Jamie, as well. I want a lot of fear in this. I think you're probably going to get more science and shock rather than fear. My idea of fear is probably a lot different to everybody else's, and I've been in some quite scary situations where I have been genuinely scared and thought I was going to die. Um, and so everyone's fear is different, like, well, for whatever reason, or they're all their own experiences and stuff. But I just think that this is going to be very scientific, which is great. Creatures, and they're like, that's weird, that's disgusting. Oh, I don't want to be in it. It's going to make my skin crawl. Great. But the type of fear that I'm looking for, I probably won't really see it. And to go back to what you were saying earlier, Patrick, about the way the xenomorph looks, it looks quite juvenile. What if it's like come out of a child? Because I don't think we've actually seen that yet. Would explain
Not a
why
bad
the tubes
point.
on the
Yeah.
It would explain why the tubes on the back are quite small. I don't know whether it had like a headrest on the back as well. I don't remember seeing one, but I do agree. I think it is very small. The skin's quite smooth, and I'm pretty sure like the where the rib cage, the exoskeleton, it doesn't quite look the same as the others as well. It could just be a design choice, to be fair, because obviously I think every single Xeno has been slightly different. Um, but there's never been really in the movies a clear explanation that I can think of as to why, apart from Resurrection, and actually, well, an Alien 3. So yeah, maybe it could be that. It could be something to do with maybe it's a child that it's come out of.
Maybe it's Wendy's original body that's still laying on the
Yes.
table. That little girl,
That
possible.
I think she's long gone.
Oh,
I mean, she could be
She
long
doesn't
gone,
have to
but
be
her
conscious though. She could
she
be
doesn't.
incubated
Her body
against
could
her
still
will,
be
you
there.
know, which is a very alien concept, I think.
that could be why she's so special.
But it also
Because-
means it depends on the morphology. If the
Yeah.
face hugger grabbed onto something that we're not familiar with, it could be that morphology of whatever. Like we're seeing it on whatever that thing is flying. To your point, Christian, so it could adapt a more smoother look. Who knows?
It's true.
Well, if you listen to the trailer, so the young guy that I don't know their names because I didn't really pay attention because I wanted to learn their names as I watched the show. But the long guy with the curly hair and he says you're very, very special. So he says to Aid Edmondson, I want what's on that ship. So he's obviously in charge of like, doing the synthetics and all that sort of stuff. So he knows what's on that ship. Um, so maybe you're right. Maybe he has got that girl just in like a stasis, kind of like a coma, I suppose, really. The body's functioning, but the mind isn't. So maybe he is. And he's like, I want what's on that ship because the synthetic stuff has worked. Now I want to try this. I want to try actual human biology stuff, and so do you know what? I think that's a good shout. I think that's what it is. I think that's how the Xeno gets there.
And what if the transfer to the new consciousness was to circumvent laws prohibiting him from doing that to a child? Like he had to like,
Xander in the
take her.
chat also said that there's a moment in the trailer where Wendy, the hybrid or whatever, has a headache.
Yes. Oh, yes.
That
Yeah.
there was a comic book series from Dark Horse that had a similar plot line where an alien had come out of this child's mother and then appears to be protecting him. And I'm not saying this is where they're going, but it could work to have this weird connection like that. I was actually going to ask you, Ross, what you think about Wendy. Wendy can't be face hugged. Wendy can't really be hurt by acid. Her body can be repaired. Does that reduce the fear when our main character, the person we're supposed to be seeing this through, is not actually as vulnerable as a normal human would be?
Yeah, I think so. Because if the main character can't be hurt, can't be killed, it's unrelatable. So obviously, because we all, at least I'm only speaking from my own experience, like, you relate, it's just unrelatable. I think that's the only way I can describe it, really, because if she was, it's like in Romulus, for example, where Bjorn's got his acid and he's dripping his fingers off. Most people would have gone, Jesus Christ, because you can imagine it. You don't have to have a lot of creativity or anything like that to actually think to imagine yourself in that situation. But it's very hard to imagine yourself being invulnerable. We'd all love it, obviously, but yeah, I think it would take the fear away from that as being invulnerable. But I'm saying I think that's what's going to happen if the real body of the child does become get infected and is a host to a xenomorph. That's probably very relatable to parents as well, because like you will have your fear for a child, and probably most humans anyway, because most people are protective of children anyway. So yeah, I think that's where the fear would come from. But yeah, I think the if with Wendy being invulnerable and easily repaired, I think it does take the fear away from it slightly. So they're going to find the fear somebody else, which could be part of his plan. It could be might want you to drop your guard down a bit, saying, "Oh well, it's all going to be okay," and then bang, something happens, and it's like I wasn't expecting that.
But
You know why I think
yeah.
it's scarier? Go ahead, Jamie.
I was just gonna say, just because her body's invulnerable, if she has a human consciousness, doesn't mean she doesn't get afraid. Doesn't mean she doesn't
Yeah.
experience every kind of fear that we do.
Plus,
Yeah,
she's a 12-year-old, so
Yeah.
it's a
true.
grown-up's body, but she's going to be scared of the dark. She's going to be scared of the boogeyman.
Yes. Yeah.
It's
Right.
kind of ridiculous that they're sending her into a
Mm.
combat situation with the brain of a child. She doesn't have the ability or the emotional integrity to deal with the situation, but she has a sword. And
But maybe that's
Can I
why they've. Oh, sorry. Go on. Go ahead. Sorry.
I would just like to add to this though. I don't know if we're negating the fact or we just don't know, but they could be playing with some parallel storylines of characters. Like, is the girl actually like is there some Cold Forge like Blue Marsalis stuff happening where there's this completely other piece of the show that we're not seeing, where her consciousness is in Wendy, but there are moments where she comes back to her original body in that way. And then there's like this Matrix sort of trope where if you die in the Matrix, you also die in the real world, sort of a thing. And so maybe there's this fear there that if Wendy is harmed, that then also harms the actual real girl, and maybe there's still a character arc for that character where she's trying to save everybody, but she has to use Wendy's body every so often or whatever in that way, if that makes sense. But I feel like there could be something like that. And I know I had mentioned that this trailer reminded me so much of Westworld season one, and I loved that show, at least the earlier seasons. And granted, we're not dealing with like terrifying sci-fi like aliens, monster sort of threat in Westworld, but you do really organically come to love some of these characters that are robots, and there is this sense of wanting them to get out and wanting them to have their own freedom too. So there could be some of that that's brought in a little bit to where you sort of forget about that aspect of maybe this person can't be harmed by and everything's going to be okay. There could still be, if they build it right with these character arcs, you could definitely still have some humanistic feelings for these people. But I really like sort of like the Blue Marsalis angle, and I'm like hoping we do get some of that. I feel like there's a lot that could be built off from that.
Can I just retract my statement about when I said, "Oh yeah, it takes the fear away"? I'm going to take that. I'm taking that back. I'm taking that back.
Well, I think it just changes the fear a little bit. I want to tell you just super quick this about the scariest thing I've ever seen in entertainment. It's in an episode of Black Mirror, and it's something that on its face it's not like overtly scary, but I can't get it out of my head. It's in this Black Museum episode, and there's it's like an anthology episode with I think three stories in it, and the last story is about this mother who transfers her consciousness into a stuffed animal. It's like her kid's favorite teddy bear, and the idea being that like she never has to like leave her child, but eventually like the kid gets bored of playing with this teddy bear, and the mom is just still inside the teddy bear like staring out of its eyes, but she can't like move. She's just in this teddy bear, and eventually the husband and the child both get really fed up because the mother is very needy and she's always like calling the kid from the teddy bear and stuff, and eventually they just like put it in a museum and like lock it away, and the mother is just in it forever. Like she's just a consciousness that's looking out of eyes and can't leave. Like she can't die. And that is something like I get stuck in these thought loops about that sometimes where I'm like, holy shit, like that is, I think that's as scary as something can be, because like you have talk about no agency, like you don't have the ability to die, like you don't have the ability to go anywhere. So to me there's this whole other element of like how scary it could be if, for example, there's this other layer of like if this synthetic hybrid body dies that Wendy's consciousness is in, what happens to the consciousness? Like is it necessarily, I mean, because if we're talking about this notion of like free floating separate consciousnesses, which is analogous to like a soul, right? And kind of traditional Judeo-Christian concepts of that, what the fuck happens to it? Like, where does it go if it's just data? And further, like, is Wendy, as we know her in the beginning as this child, is the consciousness that's inside this, synthetic body still actually Wendy, or is it just a synthesis of who Wendy was that's powering this AI system? And if that's the case, then what if this AI system figures that out? Like, there's all these other really interesting, I think, angles to this. But to me, the scariest one of all would be, what if the body dies and the consciousness can't go anywhere? You know, it's just stuck.
Patrick,
Soma,
that's
Patrick.
horrifying. And now I'm like wishing for sweet death. Like
No,
that's no, I'm kidding. Like I agree with you. I think there's nothing more horrific than not ever ending, than not that something never ending. That's horrific. I'm gonna have nightmares now. Like that's scary.
you got to watch that episode. Fucked me
Oh
up
my
for a long time.
God. That's
Well,
horrifying.
Patrick,
Also,
that was your
later on,
your egg morphing idea as well, Patrick. That what if
Yeah,
when you're
you're
transformed into
right.
an egg, your brain, your consciousness doesn't die, you just live on trapped in an egg. Sorry, Adam, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
no,
You're
I
right.
just want to point out it connects with the whole, search for eternal life, the whole Peter Raylan thing. So what if you actually do, achieve
Yeah.
eternal life? It's actually pretty horrific.
You killed it.
I love that.
Thinking about it now.
I love that. I love that this trailer has us talking about these concepts. When in an alien film at this point have we ever discussed these things? Certainly, there's been a lot to talk about, lots of themes, so many things that we've discussed, but never this type of thing. Again, this sort of borderlines on the Blade Runner idea of consciousness and humanity and what that means. One thing I really wanted to discuss briefly, and Patrick has mentioned this many times over the years, when you talk about the XX121 or the xenomorph, when you stare into it, you don't know what you're looking at. It's terrifying. You're looking into the face of oblivion. And there's a moment in the trailer where you see that thing with the eyes, and I don't know where it is, but that scared me because I'm like, I don't know what I'm looking at. I don't know what this thing is. And there's other elements in this show, in that trailer, that it looks sort of like flora, but sort of like fauna, but I didn't know what I was looking at. And that's what scares me. And I want the alien again, the xenomorph, the XX121, I want it to become something I don't know what I'm looking at anymore. And even though we're very familiar with it, I want to be unfamiliar. I want it to be dressed in the dark. So that's an exciting thing to look forward to.
In the trailer, I think the eye, I think it is actually in someone's head.
Is it?
I think so, yeah. So the angle is like on the side, and I'm pretty sure you can see like the bottom left hand corner. There's a bit of an eyebrow, and then it's in like his other eye, and then the nose is down here. I paused it a lot and I flipped it around, and I'm pretty sure. So it looks like the tentacles are in, but the eye is bulging out like this. That's what it looks like to me. I could be wrong.
Wow.
I mean, I am blind in one eye as well, so but so I might not have seen it properly, but that's what it looked like to me anyway.
Yeah, I analyzed that part also, and it looks like there's the body there under it, and it's in the process of something. It looks like, yeah, but it's
Yeah, because
unclear.
you can see a bit of blood coming down the face and
Yeah,
stuff like, and the blood spatter and the way it's going down,
yeah.
it's following the shape, and obviously it looks like the camera angle's turned, so we don't see what it is. That's the way I'm thinking anyway. But you know, we'll see in a few weeks.
2 months.
Yeah, 2 months. In the interest of letting Ross go to bed at 4 a.m. and getting this episode out, we should probably wrap there. But I gotta say, it is so exciting. I mean, my mind is racing right now with stuff that I like can't wait to talk about and analyze. And I think this is like, I mean, even more exciting than Romulus was, I think, was this just feels like something we've been really kind of dreaming about for a long time. Like, infinite alien. It's like so much that storytelling that's about to happen, and we're right on the cusp of it. And just like, I kept pointing out right before Romulus came out, like in 2 months there will be a time where we will live in a world that has alien Earth in it, and that story will exist, and it will have canonical implications or not. And it will change the way that we think about themes in Alien, whether we like them or don't like them. It will challenge us. And I mean, this is a huge moment. And just the last thing I want to say super quick is it's amazing because when I first joined this podcast, Jamie, back in 2017, after you'd done it for a couple of years, I mean, we were like, it's not like we never run out of things to talk about, but we were like talking about the same movies over and over again because like we didn't know if anything was ever going to come out again. And now, just look at the last 2 days. We have Fede Alvarez confirming that he's about to start filming Romulus 2. We have Ridley Scott doing interviews talking about Alien. And we have Noah Hawley dropping this trailer and doing a very prominent interview with AV Club. We have, I mean, Alien is in the zeitgeist like it hasn't been for forever. We have our Alien RPG. Speaking of, just had an amazing new edition Kickstarter launch that like blew Kickstarter to smithereens. Everybody is playing that game. The amount of people who talk to me about the Alien RPG, it's crazy. The amount of listeners, we're actually organizing a game right now that a bunch of us are going to be on. It is just like Alien is just everywhere right now. And lucky for us, it's in the hands of people who really seem to give two shits about it, because people like Fede Alvarez and very much like Noah Hawley really have things to say with this material, and they are getting a very successful time of doing that. And I just think it's an amazing time to be an Alien fan more than ever.
It is. As long as they don't put a Predator in it, we're good.
That sound
Here we
effect,
go.
I don't know.
Here we go.
No, that was generic. Anyways, I think that's
I
a great
agree
place
with
to
Jamie.
wrap it.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Thank you, everybody. Thanks
Yeah,
for
thank
listening,
you.
everyone.
Yeah, thanks, everyone.
And we'll be back
Have a good
soon
night.
for more coverage.
Bye. All
Awesome.
right, Jamie, I will edit this. I'll get it out quick. I'm already
No,
going. I'm
are you
not gonna.
sure?
I'm not gonna. Yeah, I'm just gonna put music. I'm gonna fix the levels, and then I'm gonna put the ad in.
Are you
and then we're gonna
sure?
send it out.
You got to
Okay.
cut the
The
first
new
I
5
have
minutes
to-
off.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, I'll,
Do we
I'll
have
fix
to
the
stop
beginning.
the
Okay.
YouTube sharing?
Oh, yeah.
They can stay on. These are all
Goodbye.
friends at this point.
Just sorry, gang. Yeah,
Um,
hang out with us. Yeah.
And this will be the premiere of a new ad read that you all are about to hear. And,
Yes.
it was pretty funny because FX was like, we want you guys to like improvise this one, but like here's all the
We are
things
still
you should and
live,
shouldn't
Patrick.
say. That's okay. They're fine.
Okay.
It's yeah. And I gotta say they were pretty impressed with what we came up with. So enjoy
Yes,
the
they
new
were.
advertisement, everybody.
And that'll be out
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Tonight.
That'll be a,
Tonight. It's been about a half
Ooh.
hour.
well,
Yeah.
I'm not staying up for that. I'm sorry.
Ross will. It's fucking
So,
5 in the
I
morning.
will.
Ross
I watched
is
the-
going to go to bed.
I watched this trailer twice. How many times have you guys actually watched this thing?
It's
Oh,
about
a bunch.
9 times, I think.
yeah, about
A lot,
so,
yeah.
I've watched it a lot.
A whole bunch.
Come on, Christian, we're nerds.
Yeah, I've been
You
like,
too.
I've been
Here's the
getting
thing.
frame by frame and trying to get all the color palettes, because they usually put a color palette
Oh.
with a feeling. So like danger is like red and all that sort of stuff. So that's currently what I'm doing. I'm dissecting all the different colors and what they all mean.
I love that.
Because
Ross,
so
you're amazing,
cool.
man. Yeah.
I got burned. I got burned by Sinners just recently with the trailer
Oh.
giving away too much. And so I'm trying to not watch trailers as much, but obviously for this we had to. But like, motherfucker, they put a scene from the very, very end of Sinners in the fucking trailer. And it's
I
just
know.
like, why
What?
would you do that?
I went in.
I
I said that
totally
on the frame
blind.
rate too. That was something
Yeah.
that bothered me too, Christian.
Yeah.
It's the whole
I
time
just
you're
couldn't
waiting
believe
for it.
Yeah.
And then
I
you're like,
don't remember
oh, the sun's going to come
trailer.
up against. That's where the scene's going to happen.
when he's,
Yeah,
when he's
yeah,
shooting
yeah.
the Tommy gun, it's in the trailer. And it's from
Can
the
I
last
tell
you?
2 minutes.
I
knew
talked about that on the frame rate,
nothing-
Jamie. You don't remember that? That drove me crazy that they showed that.
Oh, that's right.
I knew nothing about that movie other than
Smart.
you told me it was vampires in it,
I
and it
still
was
know
the
nothing.
best experience. It was the
It's
best
so good.
experience.
You've
I'm
got
not
to
ruining
go.
anything.
Don't. No one tell Holden about it.
Yeah,
Go see it.
everybody
rent it.
shut
up. Yeah.
Holden.
In
I've
the
not-
end
I've not
credits
se-
scene.
I've
I'm
not
gonna-
seen it either. So
I'm gonna
Yeah,
rent
Ross,
it.
you
No, for
gotta
20
watch
bucks.
it.
Rent
I
it.
know. I
Ross,
will.
you need to
I
go to
will.
bed. I got to edit this. Let's go.
All
Okay,
right.
all
let's
right.
go.
Okay.
Have
Bye,
a beautiful
everybody.
night, everybody. Everybody watching. Mwah. Happy
Yes.
Super
Are we
Alien
still
Day.
live?
Happy Alien Day.
Yeah.